Hello Virgo, welcome to your April 2017 reading. Thank you for joining me. This is for Virgo Sun, Moon and Rising. And this month I'm going to be giving you a bit of a general overview because we've got 4 planets retrograde this month, and then we'll go into the dates. So, right, let's start with Venus. Venus has been going retrograde since March. So she's been going retrograde in your 8th house of intimacy and shared resources. And so you might have been looking at how you share, how money matters basically between you and your partner. Is it shared equally or is it shared as fairly as possible? There might have been things to do with power, and where sometimes power can come into relationships in terms of money. If one person is earning all the money and the other one has another role, this might have been highlighted, you know. So you've been going back over things to do with your shared resources, things to do with intimacy, and hopefully healing some things. If there have felt like there have been any abuses of power, or you feel like you've given your power away, then hopefully things have been coming to the forefront for you to look at and to understand why you feel that way, and to maybe think about how you can make some changes and some maneuvers so that it feels fairer, you feel empowered, and so that the intimacy that you experience isn't affected by any externals like money and things like that. So this will be coming up if you've got children as well, and if you have joint custody of your children. This could have been something that's come under review as well. Maybe, you know, you want to see them more, that kind of a thing. That could be very relevant. Saturn goes retrograde on the 5th of April, and that's in Sagittarius. And this is in your 4th house. And I feel like home has been, in some ways, a bit of there's been a lot of learning in some senses to do with home and family, and maybe even your past. A lot of restructuring. Maybe you moved during this period and it's taken you a while to get settled into your new home, or maybe you married, you know, and the whole family structure, the home structure has changed, and there have been things that maybe it hasn't gone as smoothly as you had hoped or as you had planned. But what's happening is that you're being asked to restructure your living situation and your home situation, and to make sure it's a situation in which everybody feels that that their duties, their roles are clear. So it's about, you know, having obligations and having boundaries as to, you know, who does what, that kind of a thing. It could have been, if you're in construction or anything like that, or you're in property, this could have been a bit of a trying time for property matters, and you might be looking at having to review plans to do with any property that you're developing or building. But there's certainly a feeling of obligation when it comes to the home, and needing to really make sure that home is the structure that you've got at home is very grounded, and that finances are in order to support that, you know. So you're feeling a lot of responsibility probably at home in terms of your duties and your obligations. So Saturn's going to be retrograde here, so it's going to be asking you to look at that, and maybe you'll have to evaluate, you know, maybe you'll have to change some plans. Maybe there's something you've been missing in terms of your home situation or situations to do with property and family. And then we've got Mercury going retrograde, and this is in Taurus in your 9th house. So you've been thinking a lot about your goals, about where you want to be in life, what's your purpose. A lot of you have been thinking about this, you know, what am I meant to be doing? How can I grow? I want to experience more. I want to open my mind up, you know, and a lot of you have been thinking about, you know, am I doing something that allows me to grow as a person? Is this in line with where I want to be in, say, 10 years' time? And Mercury could be going retrograde here. So I'll be asking you to look at this and to question this even more, and maybe to do some research into where you want to be, you know, because it's in Taurus, we're looking at a practical level here. So do some research into where it is you want to go, where it is you want to be, and find out as much information as you can. You know, this is a period of review. If you've got any travel plans as well, you know, it's wise to just double check them, look at them, because the ninth house does rule travel. So just double check your travel plans, any plans to move, relocating abroad as well. Really make sure you have all the details in order and that you know exactly what you're doing, because Mercury is asking you to look at something to do with these areas. It can also be to do with higher education. Pluto then, on the 20th of April, turns retrograde in Capricorn, in your 5th house. So I feel your values and the way you know, what you do for fun has been being transformed recently. You might not do the same things you used to do. So there's been a lot of transformation going on in terms of, you know, things to do with your hobbies, your creativity, love. There's been a lot of transformation going on there, you know, even your children as well. There might have been some big changes in the way your children express themselves, you know. And Pluto going retrograde here is asking you to make some sort of a change. There's something that needs to be adjusted in order for success, in order for things to be happier. And maybe if you are thinking of turning any hobby, anything you're passionate about or you do for fun, into an actual career or into something you make money out of, then there's something that you need to look at here. There's something that needs to be changed in order for you to take this more seriously and make it into something more professional. So we're all going through a period of spring cleaning, which is quite apt if you live in the Northern Hemisphere, because it is spring now. We're all going through a period of spring cleaning, and it's asking us to look at the truth of things and to find out, you know, where we've maybe missed some details, where we maybe have overlooked certain things. We're being asked to kind of make changes that bring us closer to living the lives that we truly want to live. And it's about self-empowerment, it's about self-actualization, and any blocks that we're encountering at the moment could be asking us to take time for reflection. If you keep coming up against the same problem over and over again, it's very wise to stop and think, hang on a minute, is this trying to show me something? You know, because this really is, like I said, a spring cleaning time. We're being asked to raise our consciousness and to live more in accordance to who we truly are as human beings. So this is kind of what this is all about. So there is movement and there is a lot happening. There's also there's a lot to clear out, you know, so it's a very interesting time. So now let's get on to the dates. Right, so we have Venus, retrograde Venus entering Pisces, which is your 7th house. So where you've been thinking about shared resources and power and intimacy, and you've been going over things like that, now you're going into your 7th house. It's going into your 7th house of one-on-one relationships. So if this was to do with, say you had a business partner, if you've been going over, you know, shared resources between you and your business partner, and whether the, you know, things are balanced properly and who has the power, now you'll be thinking about, okay, right, well, how can I make this business partnership stronger? Is it serving me? Is it actually, do I feel valued in this partnership? Same thing with love. You're going to be looking at, right, you know, I've been looking at shared resources, I've been looking at the power, the control, and what we both do in the relationship and the intimacy. Now you're going to be looking more at how you actually feel about the partnership itself. You know, how do you feel about this person? How are your needs met in this relationship? How do you meet the needs of that person's relationship? So you're going to be reviewing this. So it's a progression from the 8th house to the 7th house. Pardon me. Then on the 5th we've got Saturn going retrograde in Sagittarius, like I said, you know, the 4th house. So there's something that has to be looked at here. You know, you need to have patience and take time to review, you know, maybe that you're starting to think, you know, does where I live actually suit me? Is this actually productive for me? Is this something that a place which will enable me to follow my dreams? And is it supportive? Does it provide me with a supportive base and place from which to follow my dreams? we might start looking at things like that. So it's a time of review with that, and just have some patience and treat it with compassion, and know in time answers will come, but you're being asked to really firm up your foundation in life. With Saturn in the 4th house, you're being asked to really firm up your foundation and make sure that you have a solid foundation which supports you and which is right for you, so that then you can go out into the world to do whatever it is you need to do. On the 6th, we've got Mars in Taurus trining Pluto in Capricorn, which is a really nice aspect because Mars is in your, Mars is in your 9th house, and it's trining Pluto in your 5th house. So you could be feeling quite empowered you might get some sort of urge to, say you've been thinking about the bigger picture, what you want to do in the world. You might have some sort of feeling of creative inspiration, that will help guide you towards where it is you want to go. With this kind of energy, it gives us a lot of focus, it gives us a lot of drive, it gives us a lot of endurance to kind of stick with things, even though things may seem a little bit confusing at the time. It does give you that endurance, and so I think your long-range goals, your long-range plans, and what you want for yourself, you're really channeling that into, right, how can I transform, say, the things I love doing in order to support me? How can I transform, my hobbies, my interests into something that could really support me and I can make maybe money out of and make a career out of in the future? So this is really nice energy, and it's giving you drive, and probably be quite a positive, quite a fun, energized day. I think you'll feel quite energized on this day. Right, and then we have Mercury, your ruling planet, turning retrograde in Taurus, so in that 9th house. So this is where you're starting to think about the big picture. You're starting to think about travel, if you have travel plans or relocation plans to move to another country or higher learning. You're starting to rethink. You're thinking, do I know enough? And especially with Saturn, going retrograde, do we have enough information at our disposal, or is there more we need to consider? Is there more we need to learn? Do you have all the necessary knowledge for achieving your goals, in other words? So that's Mercury. On the 9th, on the 11th, we have the full moon in Libra, and that is conjunct Jupiter, and that's in your 2nd house. So this is really nice and supportive. There could be some sort of a really nice windfall that comes to you, because this full moon is, let me find where I am now. So this is opposite. This is opposing, where are we? The full moon in Libra. So this is opposite the sun in Aries in that 8th house, and that 8th house is to do with shared resources and inheritances and taxes and things like that, rebates, that kind of thing, government support, if there are funds that you might be legible for. So on the 11th, it could be that you get news of some sort of financial support from somewhere, quite unexpected, or it could be that your partner's resources suddenly have a bit of a, kind of nice kind of oomph to them, something kind of lands in their lap and you both benefit from it. So there's a big feeling of generosity around this full moon, and Jupiter is a great benefactor. So with this conjunct the full moon, which is usually like a peak experience, and opposing the sun in Aries in that 8th house, there could be something financially very positive that happens for you on this day. So that's something to just be aware of, and let me know if something does happen for you. On the 14th, we have the sun, and that's conjuncting Uranus in Aries in that 8th house. Be aware of, you might on this day feel a little bit kind of like you want to just, feeling a little bit almost uncomfortable, wanting to break out a little bit, but in a way that you can't quite put your finger on. Might be a bit of a funky kind of day. Be aware of communication on this day. Although the Mercury isn't involved in this, mind you saying that. Where are we? This is on the On the 14th, no, Mercury isn't really involved in this, but it could be a little bit of a funky feeling day on one hand. On the other hand, you might feel like you have a few breakthroughs in terms of your shared resources. You might have an idea as to how to make things fairer, but it's a bit of a weird one that day for you. You know, so just be aware of that. On April 15th, Venus turns direct in Pisces, in that 7th house. So where you've been thinking about your relationship and how you show up and whether you're getting your needs met, and, you know, also the money, you know, the money issues between you and your partner, things like this. Now Venus is going direct and you feel like I think there's been a bit of healing. There's definitely been some healing with Venus going retrograde, because she's been very close to Chiron. So this tells me that there's probably been some healing done, and so now that Venus starts to move forward, hopefully you feel like whatever it was you had to work through has been put to bed now, finally and for real, you know, and you can now start to move forward and enjoy each other and value each other and feel a bit closer, because you might have been feeling a bit distant from your partner if you have one. You might have been feeling a little bit distant. So now I feel that there's compassion, there's healing, and now we're starting to move forward. So it's really nice. Right, on the 19th we have the Sun entering Taurus, entering that 9th house. So coming out of the 8th house, going into the 9th house. So once again, you're thinking about long range goals. You might be thinking about getting away somewhere. You might be dealing with a lot of foreign people in terms of work. But you're thinking about long-range plans, you're thinking about higher education, you're thinking about whether you have the necessary knowledge that you want, and so you're really thinking about the bigger picture at this time. But you're thinking about what can I do on a practical level to actualize my dreams. And then we have Pluto going retrograde on the 20th, which I did mention to you before. So this is about some sort of transformation in terms of your creativity, your hobbies, you know, love life as well even, and children. So something that needs to shift here. Something that needs to be transformed on quite a deep level, actually. So if there's been any blocks, if you've been having creative blocks, or if maybe you've been struggling in something to do with your children, this is going to ask you to really look at your truth and find the truth of the matter and see what needs to be changed, what needs to be looked at, so that you can have a better relationship with your children, or that you can use your creativity in a way that you enjoy and that maybe serves others too. We've also got the Sun conjunct Mercury, and that's in Aries, and now Mercury is your ruling planet, so you might be feeling quite communicative. You might be wanting to talk about issues of intimacy. You might be feeling confident enough to express some quite deep things in relation to how you feel, you know, with your partner, or if not with your partner, it might be that you get quite a few insights into, you know, these areas of your life. On April the 20th as well, retrograde Mercury enters, yes, I already said it's in Aries, so yeah, it enters Aries on that day, and it makes a conjunction to Mercury. So then on the 21st, we've got Mars entering Gemini. So this is going up into your 10th house. So you see what you're doing. You've been clearing out stuff to do with relationships, stuff to do with shared resources and intimacy. And as you're clearing this out, you're going to start moving forward and start thinking about the bigger picture and what you want out of life. And then the energy is going to go up into your 10th house. So it's always a process, isn't it? We're always moving round and round and round. And so now your drive is going to be what you do in the world, how to get ahead. And this is great because you'll probably be raring to go, wanting to get yourself out there. But Mercury is still retrograde. So my advice is think carefully. You can still take action, but just make sure you've considered all your options. Just make sure that you know what you're doing and you've really looked at things and done your research. And then that's fine to move forward, but you'll certainly be feeling quite driven to focus on career and what you do out there in the world. Right, we've got a nice trine on April the 24th, and that's between Mercury, your ruling planet, and Saturn in Sagittarius. So this tells me that there could be some support. Some support from home. It could be even that somebody in authority gives you some sort of information that when you have communication with somebody in authority, that say if you're trying to move, or especially if you're doing any building work or housing development or anything like that, it might give you the green light, or it might give you the insight that you needed so that you can get on with what you need to do. Other than that, you know, this trine I feel like there could be, in terms of your one-on-one relationships and your intimate relationships and your home relationships, you could just be feeling quite supported by family, by home on this day, in very practical and real ways. On the 26th, we've got a new moon in Taurus, and that's in your 9th house. So this is where the energy is starting to go. So you've been doing a lot of this. You've been doing some crazy deep soul searching, by the way, Virgo, which I should have mentioned before. There's been a lot going on with you underneath the cover, and there's been a lot of transformational energy, you know, because of all of that activity in your 8th house. I think you've been getting some breakthroughs as to perhaps why you have had certain patterns in intimate relationships, you know, where you've given your power away, maybe where you've tried to control things that weren't yours to control. Bad habits that you may have had for a while, so smoking, drinking, anything like that, things that don't serve you. There's been breakthroughs going on here, and there still is more chance for breakthroughs to happen here, but I feel like you've been doing a lot of deep cleaning, and fair play to you, you know, hats off to you. So with this new moon there in the 9th house at the 26th, it almost is like, I feel like it's like a gift to you, because it's saying, fantastic, well done, you've been doing so much, you've had like real periods of enlightenment as to who you are as a person, you know, and actually saying that on the 14th, there was something I don't think I mentioned, but the sun, on the 14th, the sun was conjuncting Uranus, and this is in that 8th house of yours. So this again is the ability to break free from some old pattern that hasn't been serving you well, being able to shift something, you know, give something up, release something that is leaking your energy, leaking your power away. So I should have mentioned that earlier. I thought I'd drop that in there. But this new moon is like a gift. It's like saying you've been doing all this deep soul searching, and you've really been uncovering some aspects of yourself on a psychological level, and seeing what patterns you've had that haven't served you, and you're really growing so much. And this new moon is always saying, well done, congratulations. Here is a fresh start. Here is a fresh start in terms of your long-term goals. Here's a fresh start in terms of, you know, do you want to go traveling? Do you want to book a holiday? Do you want to go and further your education? But here's an opportunity, and it's almost like a gift, you know, and that's a nice relief. And this new moon, I'm just trying to see what aspects there are to this new moon. It's sextile Neptune in that 7th house of Pisces, so it's got really nice energy, and maybe if you have got a partner, you're thinking about how you can move forward together, and you're feeling quite as one at this new moon, and as if you have shared goals and a shared vision, you know, and you might be looking at implementing that. If you don't have a partner, that's fine. Still, you're going to be feeling a sense of kind of, you know, what can I dream for my future? What is there? What can I, you know, what? It's like a freshness that kind of comes in. On the April the 28th, Venus re-enters Aries, so she goes back into the 8th house of yours. Hopefully this time feeling a bit more clearer, and feeling like you know where you stand on whatever matters it was that you had to heal and had to look over, and hopefully bringing some kind of a sense of knowing now where boundaries are, knowing what duties and responsibilities are yours, so that, you know, things to do with shared resources can run smoothly, you know. So that's a nice, you know, that's a nice movement forward there. So, I mean, you've been doing so much transformation, it's insane, and I think it's incredible. And it is, at the end of the day, spiritual alchemy, you know, and it's really special. So well done, Virgo. If you're interested in an extension of this reading, I am this month doing tarot readings on Vimeo videos. where you can get even more insights into this month and what's coming. They're £2 per video, so if you feel like you want to watch that, then click the link below and it will take you to my page where you can sign up and then watch my videos. It's pretty straightforward, it doesn't take a lot to sign up with them. But if you want to do that, you can. Other than that, keep on doing what you're doing, and best of luck with everything. Speak to you soon, Virgo. Take care.